I'm going to call the regular Bucyrus City Council meeting to order for May 5th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Myers.
Here.
Deshawn.
Here.
Slater.
Here.
Moritz.
I'm here.
Sherrick. Here. Hickman. Here. Me.
Before you are minutes from April 22nd, 2025 regular council meeting, April 22nd, 2025 public hearing, April 24th, 2025 special council meeting. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes, or shall we have a motion to approve them collectively?
So moved. I'll second it.
Mr. Myers made the motion, Mr. Moritz seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Was that on the opposed, Britt or Vicky?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Granting permission for visitors to speak, we had pre-requested Mr. Robert Taylor with a 10-minute allotment. Hold on, Mr. Taylor. I gotta plug the timeline.
Can I grab it? You can. Should you?
Can you break it last?
Right, good point. Robert Taylor, 411 11th Plymouth Street. Just want to say, as a taxpayer, I'm finding it very difficult to justify giving the government any more of my money. And that's all government on all levels, due to the waste and just the lack of discernment for the taxpayers. For this particular government entity, it's many reasons. The behavior, the drama, the politics. I know it's politics, right? And we have a real financial issue here that we have better solve. There are 1,700 of your residents whose livelihood and financial well-being is at stake. And we have bickering and fighting and name-calling and just nonsense going on, and we can't even get legislation voted on because people are leaving meetings, not showing up. Now, some of that I understand, things happen in life, where most of us are parents and you guys all have full-time jobs outside of here. That's all understandable. But I watched the last two meetings on YouTube, and I'm glad that the administration did that, because I was able to watch those meetings with no distractions. I was able to listen carefully and see the way things were going. And one thing I did notice, anytime Kurt said something out of line or directed at somebody, there's quite a few of you yelled point of order. And most of you went along with that, and rightfully so. But then when other individuals did the same thing, y'all sat there silently. So if you guys are going to do that to one person, I don't care if you like Kurt or not. I'm not a fan of Kurt. I don't like what he's doing with the political ads and the videos and all that. But you guys collectively, if you're going to set that standard, I as a taxpayer would like to see you enforce that with everybody. And to just backtrack a few weeks, we had a guy sitting here from out of town just berating and come on. Now, was he right in what he was saying? Probably. Was he justified to say the things he was saying to Kurt? Probably. Were you guys right to sit there and not a one of you have the gumption to speak up and tell him enough is enough inside these chambers? Nope. But the minute Kurt says something, you guys, a lot of you are jumping on board that train. Now, I don't care either way. I'm not taking sides on it, because I'm not a fan of most of you, to be honest. And then we had a firefighter come in here, and he was talking about PTSD. Now, then you had your instance with was a guy named Al, who's a taxpayer. He's voicing his concerns about what he perceives as waste and abuse. And you want to bring up PTSD there. I don't think that's appropriate. As a taxpayer, now I have a question. Do we have a PTSD issue amongst our safety forces? Is that opening up the city to some hypothetical liability if we have something happen? Are these people not fit for duty? PTSD is a pretty serious thing. So now there's a question there for me. And I want to say this next bit with the utmost respect that I can. I'd like to address the PTSD thing. Today's firefighters, police officers, emergency medical service personnel, and the modern era of combat veteran, they have some things in common. One, they're doing things that could expose them to trauma that could alter their life or end their life. Two, they've all volunteered for that. Every last one of them. Nobody's being forced to do these things. Nobody's been drafted. Nobody's forced to be a firefighter. Nobody's forced to be an emergency medical technician. Nobody's forced to be a cop. You're taking on that risk willingly and knowingly. And in my estimation, most of these people are being compensated very well for that risk. At least in this community, I feel they are, compared to the tax base. And I want to say this to the safety forces. You're not the only people in society with trauma that's caused PTSD. You've got rape victims, you've got domestic violence victims, you've got people with just victims of violence in general, you've got child abuse victims that go through their entire lives with PTSD. And you know what they don't get to do? They don't get to walk into an HR department where they work and try to use that for some sort of bargaining chip or justification for what people see as perceived abuse in their behavior, because that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And I'd urge any individual with PTSD on our safety forces, go get yourself some professional help. And I'd also urge you to no longer use that as a bargaining chip towards the taxpayer. That's not appropriate. And also I want to address the manpower, the overtime. These are perceived abuses from the community in regards to the fire department. Obviously, I've said it several times, obviously I'm not the only person saying this. I feel like these guys they've earned what they've got. I think they're very well taken care of. They have a pension plan, a retirement, and health insurance that's far better than most of the tax base. And I'm sick of hearing about what the other cities do. I don't care what Tiffin pays, I don't care what Galleon pays, I don't care what wherever pays. If it's so good there, then go there. The city of Bucyrus has this to offer. Take it or leave it. And the fire department also has some fringe benefits that we normal everyday workers don't have. I can't go to Kroger full force and shop during the workday. My boss wouldn't approve of that. With the vehicles running outside. Now, I've been told why they do that, But I'd like to turn them on to a new invention. It's called a lunchbox. You go, if you need to stock the fridge at the fire department, do it before you go to work, the day before. You don't need to be in Kroger en masse shopping, because then you get a call, yeah, I know the truck's running, so you guys can run outside, and you can be there in 10 minutes. But what'd you just do to all the people at Kroger? You just left carts and carts full of groceries. All because you want to get paid to shop. And that's what they're doing. And if the leadership was actually leading, they'd put an end to that. That's not appropriate. I don't care how long they've done that. You know, I do believe that they have friends and family and spouses that can come visit them while they're at work. I don't have a problem with that, but that's a nice fringe benefit. My family doesn't visit me at work. I've got tools in my hand all day. And also, get into the manpower thing. When one of their teammates calls in sick or takes the vacation, they need to learn to work shorthanded. I do a lot of things at my job by myself that typically is a two-man job. Now, that's not me patting myself on the back. That's me understanding that's how my business makes money. That's how my boss keeps me employed. We can't just pull guys off of every other job to get something done because somebody didn't show up. And that's what these guys need to do. It's what the police department needs to do. It's what the fire department needs to do. Learn to work shorthanded. It's life.
Motion to allow him an additional 5 minutes.
It won't take that long, but I do
Second.
appreciate that.
Mr. Myers has made a motion, seconded by Mrs. Slater, to allow Mr. Taylor an additional 5 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
You know, and what I'm saying is that we need some real leadership now. More than ever that I've seen in this city financially, we got to have our leaders be leaders. And by I mean fire chief, the police chief, and you guys, obviously, all of our elected officials. And this is just my personal opinion, and it's not meant to be offensive towards the fire chief, but I do think he feels like he works for the union and not for the city. That has got to change. He works for the city. And I'm going to give the city the benefit of the doubt one more time. I'm going to vote for this levy. I'm going to vote for the street levy. And I hope it passes, because I know that we need it. But this is it for me. If I keep seeing the abundance of overtime from the fire department, the freaking behavior from our elected officials, and just this no discernment, just waste from our local government, I'll never support another levy in this city. And with that vote, though, I'm also no longer going to support reducing or removing the out-of-town tax credit. We better just figure out this is what we've got. This demographic pays enough. We need to leave them alone. And we better make do with what we got. And I really hope that we can do that, and we can stop bickering and fighting with everybody and the name calling and all that. Let's fix our financial situation. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
At this point in time, the public speaking is open to any other additional guests in attendance. Is there anybody that would like to address council?
My name is James Cady. I moved away from here back in 2017.
What was your name, sir?
James Cady. I sold my dad's house back in 2017.
What's your address, sir?
It used to be 216 West Mary Street. And, I came to the city to try to sell it to the city at first. They said, oh, we don't have the money. This is back in 2020. They said, we don't want to buy it. Well, then I sold it to a friend of mine. When I sold it to a friend of mine, he didn't live there 6 months. A fence right up through an easement that was done years ago when my grandpa put the house back there. The only way to this house is through this easement. Now, my mom bought my dad's old house. She still lives there. Elderly lady. I got niece, she got custody of my niece and them. They blocked the alley up with a fence. Well, couldn't find out. Zoning, closed it up. It was done. Nobody don't think like, okay, the house burns down, how we gonna get back there to fight this fire? I'm lucky my dad ain't back there, so with that, I'm cool, you know, but at the end of the day, the fence shouldn't be there. But now, what I'm here for is because this city has money at one time. Y'all had the best thing going for you on that, what is it, land bank? I come up here the other day for the land bank. I moved to Sandusky. That land bank is banking. I don't know what happened to the land bank here, but supposedly y'all ain't got no land bank, no houses, no nothing. That's one reason why I'm coming back here. All my kids are older. I moved from here back in 2016 because there was nothing for the kids. So now all my kids are older, so, you know, I gotta move back. I'm being forced to move back technically by the courts. So I come over here to buy a house off the land bank. I got my CDLs, driving, everything. One thing I don't want to pay is all this high taxes because I can't find a trucking job here in Bucyrus. Nobody here owns a trucking business. But for me to pay taxes that high, where I'm moving from, I only pay like $30, I think I paid $120 taxes for out-of-town workers. Y'all is racking. I'm not trying to pay all that. So I gotta see why everybody's saying what they're saying, because years ago when I came here, I got told to leave by Sister Love, because I told her, instead of y'all wasting the money, go out to the county jail, get people out in the county jail a chance. Pay a guard to come and watch them pour cement. Why pay all these city workers all the top dollars when you got them out there in the county jail? Nobody don't want to do that. See, I turned my whole life around. I was in and out. Matter of fact, I think she knows me. I had a bad background. That's one reason why I left here. And I straightened up my whole life. And at the time, I was out in the county jail. They only picked one trustee. Y'all got all them inmates out there. I'm gonna bring it up again. You got all them inmates out there. What's wrong with the city paying them inmates? You don't even have to pay them. You're paying the county dudes. Our armed guards to come and watch them to do shit for the city. Why pay all these guys, like he said, why pay all these guys that wants high tax dollars to go over to Tiffin somewhere? Like I said, I'm from Sandusky. I just moved from Sandusky back down here. That land bank's booming. I'm talking about booming. You can't even get a house off there for less than $5,000, $6,000 because you got all these big dollar contractors buying them. You can go up to, I think Flint, you buy a house for $2,500. You got within a year to have it fixed up or the city takes it back from you. Like, man, there's so much money that y'all could have, but y'all don't want to do it. Like, that's one question I have. Why don't y'all want to do that? Like, nobody knows. Oh, well, we don't know. You got to go to council meeting and get about the land bank. First of all, Mr. Groves should know everything about the land bank because that's what you do in Sandusky. Any other county, it's your code enforcement officer you go to. They the ones sell you the house. They the ones tell you about it. He don't know nothing. Oh, you got to go to zoning. Zoning. Oh, you got to go up to the council meeting to find out. What? Come on, man. Like,
The mayor's, he's on the land bank board. So if you wanted to go talk to him during the week.
man, I'm an OTR truck driver, bro. I won't come back until Saturday. I'm off Monday. But like I said, man, I'm trying to buy a house off the land bank. I mean, that's what I did in Sandusky. When I moved to Sandusky, that's all I did was remodel houses. Like, so I know how it works. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm trying to buy a house from the city. But I got told, oh, there's no houses. So, if y'all wanted to get the land bank up and running, man, I'll give y'all the ideas. That's all I'm saying. I know how it's run, but y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Is there any other public participation? Seeing no additional public participation, we are moving on to a communication and petition letter from Mr. Greg White.
It's a letter from Greg White dated May 2nd, 2025. Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening to all. Sorry that I was unable to attend tonight's council meeting on the issues that are going to be addressed tonight. It seems that this council is unable to represent the best interest of the citizens of our community. Everything is running amok on all key issues that face our community. From not being forthcoming with the financial state of funds, to public records requests, to members of council leaving or not showing up for meetings, beside hiding information from the public on the budget, giving out pay raises, the water fund, and so much more. Let's not forget the fighting among council members and the outburst against the citizens that just wanted you to know about some problems. This citizen had every right to speak his mind about this and redress his government in his own words, no matter what the citizen had to say. Remember, you let a gentleman that doesn't live in the city to say whatever he wants to say, yet no one spoke up about the statements or comments that this person talked about. You can't have rules for some and rules for others. It doesn't work that way. What is Bucyrus First Political Action Committee group all about? Well, someone called me with some information about Fred Fisher, parenthesis, local business owner, parenthesis, who had started a group of people in the possibility of overthrowing the city of Bucyrus government structure. I definitely wanted to investigate this alleged group, and it caught my attention, especially when 2 city council members' names came up. Started off with the Board of Election office. Well, that started the ball rolling. There was no official paperwork filed at this time, but the people in that office got spooked in the weirdest way. I bet the phone started ringing to somebody before I was out the door. So I went to City Hall to see if Mr. Mayor knew any information about this. The look on his face was telling me not a good day so far. Mr. Mayor was not happy with this information, and I can't repeat the words he said about Kevin Myers and Clarissa Slater. Then on that very day, Mr. Fisher and the mayor had a very long meeting at City Hall. Parenthesis, remember, comma, cameras don't lie, and the city owns them, parenthesis. This nearly 2-hour meeting should have been interesting to say the least. That this group wants to make the city of Bucyrus into a managed form of government, because they don't like how the current government works, or maybe this is about the airport commission deal. I found out later, parenthesis, courtesy of Clarissa Slater, parenthesis, that this group has had several meetings so far and were invited to attend. So was this a backdoor deal made between these 2 individuals? Was it agreed upon that nothing would be done until the mayor's last year in office? Was it agreed upon that the mayor, parenthesis, if Kevin Myers was council president, parenthesis, to step down before this happened? Does Mr. Fisher get what he wants? The voters would have to decide this measure at the ballot box, but this was interesting to find out. Quick note, is there another group forming behind the scenes? This could get more complex as time goes on, and that someone's name keeps coming up with both groups. Amazing that someone is full-time for this, and for this, and this. Now add full-time activists to this list. I hope you have time for all of this. The street levy, whether it passes or not, is up to the voters to decide. We will all know on Tuesday night what the voters wanted. I believe that this could have been worked out before we got to this point. I have given the Finance Committee members many times to talk about this and other issues during public meetings, but to no avail. The committee seemed set in their ways. They didn't want to address any issue about the budget, the out-of-town tax credit, parenthesis, Chris gets credit, parenthesis, cost-saving measures, cut money from line items, or about part-time workers as a whole, or cutting hours of employees. And you still don't have a balanced budget for the city. Now the city has to get a loan for the water fund to bail it out and for the ODOT project. That real financial responsibility to the citizens of this community. How much more is this administration, auditor, and council going to force the taxpayers to pay for these huge mistakes? Most of them are basically living paycheck to paycheck just to pay their bills. It was troubling to see a city employee post that she needed that raise to pay her bills. I guess that she is better than the rest of us. It is very sad that a city employee acted in this way. The feuding among council members needs to come to an end. Start acting like grown adults with courtesy and professionalism. You're elected officials by the people and for the people. People from all over are watching the spectacle of behavior, even more than the population of our community. That is wrong in so many ways. Your actions are being broadcasted to all businesses to see. Maybe that is why the partnership can't get anyone to look at Bucyrus as a place for opportunity to build or bring employment to. Even the interim director for the partnership stated more about Galleon and Crestline for new development opportunities than Bucyrus. This city is the worst it has ever been in the past. Money problems, people can't tell the truth about things, financing money to pay the bills, the wastewater treatment plant, what is next? Fiscal emergency. Maybe many of these businesses are looking at us, but the sign says no sale. Committee chair need to take full responsibility for their positions. You agreed to this, so step up and fulfill your duties. Write your own legislation on issues, don't pawn it off to the law director. He has other more important issues to contend with and other duties that need his attention within his 2 positions for the city. The law director position is to give opinion and guidance on to the matters of the city. Other committees are using this process and yes, it takes time to make sure things are done correctly. That is why some legislation is taking as long as it has done right the first time. Recently, I saw a post that the council passed legislation for 14 ordinances for the first month of April, but someone wants credit for the first month on council was productive. Remember to vote May 6th. Most of these were basic ones that come up normally each year, selling of property for the second time, or when the contract expires on land leases. But only 4 were really about major changes with public hearings on these issues. I would like to thank Mr. Me and the members of the planning committee who actually worked on this. Your endeavors in getting the legislation done shows that things can get done in committee. Now on to the issue of the fire department. I can see both sides to the story and how it will affect the outcome. I know that this is not an easy task for council members. Does the city have the money to continue paying out like they have been, or is this going to cost the taxpayers more out of their pocket? I know the comment was made by the vice president of the firefighters union towards me was uncalled for. Maybe he was having the greatest day, or maybe they knew I was looking into the possibility that the tremendous amount of overtime was associated with the sick leave during that same time, or cost-saving measures that could put more part-time firefighters on duty. I did a public records request several months ago with the city auditor on this matter, provided all necessary documentation and forms under the state laws. However, for months, I waited and got nothing that I requested. On April 1st, 2025, the auditor gave me the paperwork that I never requested and was told to find it yourself. Well, I guess there are other avenues to take this case to another agency. The Finance Committee does not want to discuss or look at other possibilities that could save money in this department. I have brought suggestions and ideas that could benefit the city, but I guess the union is set in stone that they don't want part-time firefighters, EMTs, or paramedics. It is all about them and that they make over $100,000 per year in salaries and benefits on a population of 12,000. Yes, they also have the West Ambulance District contract, but with 18 firefighters and the fire chief, that is around $2.3 million of the total budget of the fire department, maybe more. Yes, if I am wrong, please prove it. Maybe the auditor should go back and redo my request under the law to prove that that is wrong too. Well, I am just going to come out and say it. A council member, parenthesis, remember a council member, also a chair of a committee, parenthesis, should not give out information about a certain subject. The union negotiations on the contract are somewhat out. Are the firefighters going to get a $4 per hour wage increase? Are there some other major stipulations that benefit them over the 3-year deal? Are there 2 contracts drawn up and signed with the administration and the union? Are they waiting on council to vote on the manning requirement to see which one they are going to use? Is the service safety director going to bring a verbal vote under new business during the council meeting on this tonight? I guess we will know soon on this matter. In closing, the council needs to get their act together. Work on the main issues that affect the citizens of this community and work together. I know that some people don't like me and that I cause problems. That is further from the truth. I, as a citizen, I have rights under the law. I can request public records and have the right to redress my government. I like to find out the truth about these things and educate the public about what is happening within our community, because we are not getting this from our city government leaders. President Ronald Reagan had many great quotes. I would like to share a couple with you. Government's first duty is to protect the people, not ruin their lives. The problem is that, not that people are taxed too little, the problem is that their government spends too much. And when you can't make them see the light, make them feel the heat. Remember, you are either part of the problem or you are part of the solution. Thank you. Greg White, 1125 Hillcrest Drive, Bucyrus, Ohio.
Any motion to accept and file letter? Is there any objection to accepting and filing the letter by unanimous consent?
We don't do unanimous consent.
Oh, yes, we can. Are you objecting to unanimous
I
consent?
literally just objected to the unanimous consent. I thought that was pretty obvious. Thank you, sir.
One last call for a motion to accept and file the letter. Seeing none, we're going to move on to standing committee reports. Plating committee, Mr. Mee. Is there any questions for plating committee? Seeing none, public lands and buildings committee, Ms. Sheriff.
No report at this time.
Any questions for public lands and buildings committee? Seeing none, health and safety committee, Mrs. DeShawn.
At our last Health and Safety Committee meeting, we reviewed draft ordinance prepared for the repealing and not replacing of ordinance number 46-96, dealing with snow street emergency procedure, and we approved changes to the draft. We also reviewed open projects list and are awaiting legislation drafts for committee's review for Bucyrus Codified Ordinance Chapter 709, temporary business, also known as food trucks. Bucyrus Codified Ordinance Chapter 505, animals and fowl. Bucyrus Codified Ordinance Chapter 381, taxi cab licensing, but we are addressing the insurance requirements. Bucyrus Codified Ordinance Chapter 711, peddlers and solicitors, and criminal ordinance package. We also received a status report from the law director on 450 Dudley Street. End of my report.
Any questions for health and safety committee? Seeing none, finance committee, Mr. Myers.
Finance Committee requested legislation at our previous meeting that's being presented tonight as proposed ordinance 27-2025, dealing with a appropriation for a grant from the state fire marshals. And the Finance Committee will be meeting again this Thursday at 6 p.m.
Any questions for finance committee? Seeing none, economic development committee, Mr. Hickman.
The April 23rd Economic Development meeting, we had a gentleman discuss some solutions that he had. I had time to go and look at one of his solutions, which was charging people for pitching tents at Allmiller. The only people that I've ever seen pitch tents out at Allmiller have been homeless people. So unless the city is looking to charge homeless people, which doesn't seem ethically correct, it's not going to work. Then talked about charging the baseball teams money for charging people to park. The city has no right to do that. It would be completely disingenuous to the baseball teams. It's their money. They need that. Mr. Fankhauser came up and talked about the Tourism Bureau. We had a discussion about the bed tax, which seemed somewhat productive. And then Mr. Fankhauser came up again to accuse someone in the audience of being on drugs with no proof, which I will be taking care of in new business later on tonight. It is the end of my report.
Is there any questions for economic development? Seeing none, service committee, Mr. Moritz.
The chapter 900 is being looked at, the master copy. I think everybody finally got a copy of the master copies to look at. I've been in discussion with some of the members of my committee about some changes that we think are warranted. But for the most part, all the changes have already been made on the master copy. I really like, just a couple tweaks here and there. We're really close.
Is that the end of your report?
That's the end of my report.
Any questions for Service Committee? Seeing none, Special Ad Hoc Committee for Rules of Procedure, Mrs. DeShawn.
As I have previously reported, the Special Ad Hoc Committee for Rules of Procedure for Bucyrus City Council, Bucyrus Codified Ordinance Chapter 111, Council Rules of Council, and Bucyrus Codified Ordinance Chapter 113, Ordinances and Resolutions, met on December the 17th, 2024. And at the request of Law Director Gobrick, passed the Rules of Procedure and 2 codified ordinance chapters over to Mr. Gobrick to start from scratch. I also stated that Gobrick will prepare new drafts for the committee to review and discuss, and reminded everyone that Mr. Gobrick stated that this is not something that will be done immediately. It is a big project that will take some time. I've also previously reported that at the February 4th, 2025 council meeting, Law Director Gobrick stated he will provide to the committee members each section as he completes it. At this time, I would also like to address, because it does deal with our ad hoc committee, the recent Bucyrus Exposed YouTube video presented by Kurt Fankhauser, entitled Clarissa Slater and Vicki DeShawn, Uncontrolled Giggles, and the statements made about me as the chairperson of the Ad Hoc Committee for Rules of Procedure, Bucyrus Codified Ordinance Chapter 111, Council Rules of Council, and Bucyrus Codified Ordinance Chapter 113, Ordinances and Resolutions. In the video, Mr. Fankhauser stated that September 24th, 2024 was the last Ad Hoc Rules of Procedure meeting that I held. This is a false statement. The last Ad Hoc Rules of Procedure, etc. meeting was held on December the 17th, 2024. At the January 7th, 2025 council and subsequent council meetings, my ad hoc committee reports have set forth that we met on December 17th, 2024. Mr. Fankhauser also stated that at the September 24th, 2024 meeting, I gave up on writing the rules, and I said I was going to let the law director write the rules. Those are also false statements. At no time did I or the committee give up, nor did I say that I was just going to let the law director write the rules. At the December 17th, 2024 Ad Hoc Committee meeting, Mr. Gobrick confirmed that after the September 24th, 2024 Ad Hoc meeting, it was his suggested recommendation to myself and others that he prepare the documents from scratch because what we currently had was not sufficient. Mr. Gobrick further stated that his preparing of the documents was not going to happen overnight, but he was more than happy to do it. End of my report.
Is there any questions for the Special Ad Hoc Committee on Rules of Procedures? Seeing none, moving on. Special Ad Hoc Committee for Property Maintenance, Mr. Me.
Yeah, Mr. Goldberg. Gordon Groves contacted me today, and he was talking about a different type of program he's going to enter all of his information in on the houses.
Correct.
And his question was, should he add the 2012 International Property Maintenance Code to that? Or are we moving forward on our rendition of the Bucyrus?
So we are moving forward with that. I'm waiting on a call back from Gordon to see what their timetable is.
Okay. So are we we're getting started on it? Are we 10, 15 pages into it now, or?
Yeah, we're close.
Okay, so I might get with Miranda and we'll call a meeting
Okay,
when we find out the council's available, if you could let us know.
excellent.
That way we can go over. All right, thank you. That's in my report.
Any question for the Special Ad Hoc Committee on Property Maintenance? Seeing none. Special Ad Hoc Committee for Zoning Map, Mr. Me.
No.
Are there any questions for the Special Ad Hoc Committee on the Zoning Map? Seeing none. Traffic Commission, Mayor Truca.
No report.
Any questions for Traffic Commission?
I did have a question. Someone was wanting to know how the proposed legislation was going to affect the two-lane or the two-way turn that we're reviewing tonight. Someone had sent me an email requesting information on that.
Oh, the lane, is it the lane one?
Yeah.
Down South Sandusky?
Yeah.
So what was the question? I'm sorry.
They were questioning how that affects like the flow of traffic with the two-way or the turn lane, like how that would affect how that's constructed,
So
or how that's laid out.
they'll just have to stop. Like if you're turning left, going south, the south lane will just have to stop until they make the turn. Except for on the major intersections such as Southern and Beale on the south side.
Okay.
Is there an addition of the turn light? Will there be an addition of the turn?
Yeah, on the Southern and Beale.
Southern and Beale, there would be.
Beale's heading south only. And then Southern on both north and south.
Did you say lane or light?
Light.
That's what I thought.
L-I-G-H-T.
He says for light, should be a turning only light.
No.
The light.
Any other questions for Traffic Commission? Seeing none, need a motion to accept committee reports collectively.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sherrick made the motion, Mr. Moritz seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Report of city officers, Mayor Truca.
No report.
Any questions for the mayor? Moving on, Safety Service Director, Mr. Starner.
Thank you, Mr. President. The property owner at 417 Wallace Avenue inquired about the purchase of the city lot of 411 Wallace. Their intentions is to expand their lot and possibly build a pole barn someday. This still could go out to bid or transferred or to the CIC and sold. Arbor Day was Friday, April 25th, 2025. The Pioneer Career and Technology Center students visited All Miller Park, cleaned up the trash, picked up the sticks throughout the park and the trails. The mayor and I visited the Bucyrus High School and the Bucyrus Elementary School and planted trees alongside the Bucyrus Tree Commission. The Board of Control will meet Wednesday, May 14, 2025 at 10 a.m. for the opening bid of the sale of the 606 North Sandusky Avenue. Board of Control will meet Thursday, May 15, 2025 at 10 a.m. for the opening bids of the farmland leases. The city's spring cleanup week is almost here. Each household may begin setting out up to 6 extra bags of trash for free on Monday, May 12, 2025 until Friday, May 16, 2025. Regular fees will still apply to large items like TVs, furniture. For a full list of disposal charges, please visit our website. Thank you. Thank you.
Safety Service Director?
The property at Wallace Avenue, that's on your list of places we could definitely get rid of. How many of those can we put together on a specific list, not the whole, we own all this, to say we want these to go into the CIC.
You tell me what you want and I'll make it happen.
Well, I have this huge list that as I'm looking at it, my eyes start swimming because it says we can get rid of this and it's all like this big of a print. And when you blow it up, then you can't see half of it. So it's like, so that's why everybody had asked like what you guys thought we should get rid of how, and some of them say get rid of, so like, and this guy, and you're asking about CIC. If you've got some that you think that should go to the CIC, give us that specific list, not the entire.
Yeah, that's just an option. I mean,
Well, no,
we're
because
just throwing out options here. You
because
tell me what you want and I'll give you the list.
I thought the CIC worked a lot better previously than the going out for bids, because we'd have stuff just sit there and nobody bid on it. Whereas when the CIC had it, they've got the list of what they have and they'd sell them, like, you know, so that's why I'd asked that before too. So yeah, just some things you got to go to bid on. Other things, doing things like this is a lot more functional.
Give me a call tomorrow. Let me know what you want and I'll make the list happen.
What's the total number of bags you can set out now?
6.
So it'd be 12 per.
So 12 altogether?
Yes.
Plus we can put in TVs?
Say that one more time.
So we can set out TVs?
For an extra cost.
How much is that? See the
$12,000 for you. I have no idea. I don't have the list in front of me.
Mr. Moritz?
Is that usually a call ahead thing? If you have a TV or something else you want picked up to know, to let them know that it's going to be there, or is it just, it's there, they're going to grab it?
They will grab them, but if you call ahead, they'll know if they need extra help.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah. They'll send someone else out to help.
The list she's talking about, would you be able to come up and meet with him during the week and?
Well, he just asked me to call him and I said, yeah, I could do that.
Okay. There is going to be another public participation at the end of the committee reports, Mr. Taylor. Was there any other questions for the Safety Service Director? We're going to move on then to the Law Director's report, Mr. Gilbert.
No report.
Any questions for the Law Director? Seeing none. Auditor's report, Ms. Lewis.
I have no report on Thursday the 1st and Friday the 2nd. The auditor's office had network issues as well as printer issues causing delay. They have since been corrected. However, I would like to refer transfers in the Waterworks Fund for the payment of the Water Systems Improvements Bond Series 2025. And I would also like to take this time briefly, because there have been a couple times mentioned about my office not providing open records. And I think there might be some confusion on what constitutes an open record. So I've pulled this directly from the Ohio Attorney General's website, where it says what makes a record a public record. The official definition of public record is every record that is kept by a public office. The definition of a record is further broken down into 3 elements. It must exist on a fixed medium. It must be created by or received by a public office and come under the jurisdiction of that office. It must document the activities of the office. And then this was pulled from the Ohio Auditor State's office. You can Google it. It's Public Records Act Basics. And it says what to provide. It's existing documents, and then it specifies you do not have to create records in response to a request. So if you were to, and you can request information, and if we think, okay, this is the document, this is the information we're looking for, we provide you with that information. What is not an open record is documents front and back where we are requested to handwrite and fill out all of them in my office. Sorry, I'm sure that picked up on the microphone horrifically. So I just wanted to, I don't think everyone understands that a public record is something that's already in existence and then we provide it to you. It is not something that we have to fill out. That would just be creating another record that we would have to then maintain. Also, I did want to mention there has been information that was given to the public where it was stated that if the budget for the street fund were to drop from what we're currently budgeted at $2,946,596.76 down to a little over $700,000, that there would be no cuts to services. I just wanted the citizens to be aware that that would not be the case. There would be cuts to services, obviously. And that is it.
We need a motion to refer the transfers to the Waterworks Fund, or transfers for Waterworks Fund to Finance.
Second.
Mr. Myers made the motion, Mr. Moritz seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any questions for the auditor?
You said services would be cut. Do you have any?
Leaf pickup could possibly be cut. We would still plow main thoroughfares. But so if you cut the budget that significantly, there would still be capital outlay projects that would have to be done if they were a part of a project that exists with sewer project or something like that. So capital outlay would still be done. That amount of money would then have to be taken from materials and supplies or personal services. And if you don't have the staffing to be able to send people out to go pick up your leaves or pay them to do those things, then we wouldn't be able to provide those services.
And you said the main thoroughfare, so the main roads would be plowed, but essentially residential would no longer would be plowed?
I'm not 100% certain on that, so I don't want to speak to it without someone who actually works in the street department being here. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the auditor? Seeing none, moving on. We don't have a treasurer's report. We don't have a police chief report. We don't have a fire chief report. I need a motion to accept all city officers' reports.
Second.
Mr. Myers made the motion, Ms. Scher seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Now we have visitors' input regarding reports of standing and special committees and of city officers. So, Mr. Taylor.
Robert Taylor, 411 Plymouth Street. I just had a question for Tommy about the property on Wallace. Just so I understand, this is a property that borders citizens' property that wants to buy it, and you said this may go up for a bid. What is that? Is the city legally obligated to do that?
I think if we donate it to the CIC, we don't.
'Cause I guess what I'm getting at is you already have a resident interested in it. Why would we not just extend some courtesy to that guy or that individual and let him buy it, take it off the city's hands without putting left for bid? Okay, thanks for that. I'm asking for
We're legally
clarification.
obligated to either take it to the CIC, which
Okay.
we created for that, or to put it out to bid.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
So-
Thank you.
CIC can choose, that's what they did with the Burger King.
Okay,
property.
well, that makes sense. Thank you.
Any other public participation?
Mr. President.
Mr. Myers?
I do, there wasn't a mayor's report, but I got a quick question. In regards to Mr. White's letter, where he says he cannot repeat the words that you said about Kevin Myers and Clarissa Slater, I just want to know if you wanted to offer any explanation of that.
Just consider the source.
That's where I was going with that. Thank you.
And just for another clarification, the 2-hour meeting, was that not confirmed as the
Yeah,
report grant?
if I could clarify on the 2-hour meeting.
Microphone.
Oh, I'm
If
sorry.
you can't hear me, I'm sorry. As far as the 2-hour meeting, yeah, we went ahead and we had, the reason Mr. Fisher was here that day is we actually had a bid opening for the airport. And so those are the airport improvements that are taking place. That's why we did have the meeting. And yes, Mr. Fisher stayed afterwards and we did have a discussion. And I wasn't the only one. The auditor was in there. Tommy Starner was in there. No, I don't know who else exactly, but per se, it wasn't a meeting. It was just informing us of what was on Mr. Fisher's mind. So. No big secret meeting or anything like that.
Plans to overthrow the government?
No, apparently not.
No secret
And
handshakes?
that's the airport commission. He's part of the airport commission, right? So that's why he was interested in it.
And that's why Mr. Fish was here, as he was an interested party, as being part of the airport commission, to come to see the opening of the bids.
And can I just state too, it was in council chambers, and I'm fairly certain the door was open.
It was.
Okay, moving on, consideration of proposed legislation for the first time.
Proposed ordinance 27-2025, it's appropriations for the fire marshal grant. Amending and supplementing ordinance 40-2024, being the annual appropriations ordinance for 2025, by appropriating from unappropriated general funds the sum of $14,529 to the capital outlay line item within the fire department category within the Program 1 Security of Persons and Property subparagraph and declaring an emergency.
I need a motion to accept the first reading.
Second.
Ms. Sherrick made the motion, Mr. Myers seconded.
How did he second it?
Well, he was right in there at the same time, so.
But he made the motion. They both made the motion. That would be inaccurate.
Well, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Need a
You guys
motion to
go ahead.
accept the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sherrick made the motion. Mrs. Slater seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I'm not supposed to say anything. All opposed? Okay, it passes. Public participation. Any member of the general public may present their input or comments on legislation that's been read for the first time. Anybody? No public participation? Consideration of proposed legislation for the second time.
Proposed ordinance 24-2025 is the traffic control map update, South Sandusky Avenue, amending the traffic control map and file established by sections 305.01, 305.02, and 305.03 of the codified ordinances of the City of Bucyrus, Ohio, to provide henceforth that there shall be 2 driving lanes on South Sandusky Avenue from Marion Road to Beale Avenue with north and southbound left turn lanes at Southern Avenue and a southbound left turn lane at Beale Avenue. Proposed resolution 215-2025 is TIRC abatements. A resolution hereby accepting the Community Reinvestment Area Tax Abatement recommendation of the Tax Incentive Review Council, or the TIRC, for period ending December 31st, 2024. Proposed resolution 216-2025 is the Doug Wilson Memorial Plaque. The following resolution enacted by the City of Bucyrus of Crawford County, Ohio.
Any motion to accept those as a second reading?
Second.
Mr. Myers made the motion, Ms. Sherrick seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Public participation. Any member of the general public may present their input or comments on legislation that's been read for the second time. Seeing none.
I have some comments.
What's the comments, Vicki?
Well, ordinance number 24-2025. If you will remember, at the April 22nd, 25 council meeting, there were observations made. And one of those observations is not included within this draft.
What was the observation that wasn't included in the draft, Vicki?
Under section 2, that the Public Service Safety Director of the City of Bucyrus, Ohio, shall only alter the driving lanes aforementioned and direct only those authorized, and these words were not included: traffic control signals and devices. They were omitted from the draft presented on April 22nd, and they're still omitted from this draft.
Okay, Vicki, once again, this is your committee, Health and Safety Committee, that this legislation originated out of. And I'm at the point now where your committees need to be voting on things and getting them out of committee and having them all in order before they come to full council. I don't want to have to keep doing this.
And I don't think it's a necessary thing to put in there because it's clearly talking about altering the driving lanes that are authorized and are only authorizing to alter the driving lanes that are necessary to regulate, warn, or guide traffic in accordance with the provisions of this ordinance. I just don't see it as important.
And I believe Tommy already said there's no light changes anyway.
Right.
So we're stating then that we're going to erect only those authorized as are necessary to regulate.
The driving lanes.
We're not identifying what those authorized.
The driving lanes.
Can I chime in before you move on to your next one, Vicki?
Sure.
One of the other things too that I just thought about, what we had several years ago, the entry that's going to be changed into the traffic control map should be included as a, what's the word I'm looking for, as an attachment to the legislation.
Okay, I was not aware of that.
Yep, I had a remembrance sitting here right now of that a couple years ago.
Does anybody have that?
It's kept in Lisa's office. So what we had asked for years ago was how it is worded now in that section and then what the proposed change is going to be.
I'm going to ask the Service Director, Mayor, is this legislation time sensitive to any ongoing projects?
Not very time sensitive. We got next year.
Okay, why don't, I'm just going to make a suggestion here, why don't health and safety address all this?
How about I just make a motion to send that back to committee so we can readdress it?
I'll second that motion.
Ms. Sherrick has made a motion to send ordinance 24-2025 back to health and safety. It was seconded by Mrs. Slater. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Before we move on, I just do have a question. Was that made in the request?
No.
The attachment
No.
in the request?
No.
Okay. Just want to make that
You've done
clear.
nothing wrong.
Okay, just want to make that
Something
clear.
As I said, I just now thought about it sitting here, that we had done that in the past, and I think it would be helpful.
Okay.
I do wish to make a statement though, Kurt, in response to your comment that, I am the chairperson of the Health and Safety Committee and you are tired of this and that. How much more do I need to do? We're at a meeting on April the 22nd and I make these observations. Everyone's sitting there, even yourself, writing them down and saying, now repeat that, and I repeated, traffic control signals. And then you said, did you get that, law director? Then it was decided, because it was stated they were just grammar, that Miranda would take care of revising the legislation to
I believe that
include
was
these.
ordinance 23-2025 that was pulled at the 22nd meeting and discussed at the 24th. The 24-2025, I mean, the observations were mentioned, but, I can't speak to the law director, but I was not directed to make those changes, but
And I didn't think it was an important observation to follow.
Which if you would have stated that on April 22nd, that you didn't feel it was important, then I wouldn't have had to sit here and talk about it tonight.
Well, I
Communication.
appreciate, well, you could always email me like I've asked.
Remember, you're the one that told me, I never check my emails.
Point of order.
That is
We
not
got
true.
point of order on the floor right now.
I
Mr.
said I
May,
hardly
what's
ever
your
checked the
Point of
office phone
order.
messages.
Order of the day, please.
Okay, we're gonna go back to, Mr. Mees called a point of order to go back to the orders of the day on the agenda, and I'm gonna rule that we're gonna go back to the orders of the day and discontinue the discussion that was going on between multiple members here. And we're gonna move back on to the agenda to public participation on legislation that's been read for the second time. Seeing none, we are referring ordinance 27-2025 back to finance, resolution 215-2025 back to economic development. Resolution 216-2025 back to public lands and buildings. So committee report on pending legislation, Finance Committee.
Finance is favorable to proposed ordinance 27-2025, which is the appropriations for the Ohio Fire Marshal's Grant.
Economic Development.
Economic Development is favorable to a proposed resolution 215-2025 TIRC abatements.
Public Lands and Buildings.
Public Lands and Buildings is favorable to proposed resolution 216-2025 Doug Wilson Memorial Plaque.
Okay,
And I have a comment I would like to make. Just a comment. I want the record to reflect that Resolution 215-2025, if it is passed as it is written, it will not be following what the Tax Incentive Review Council letter says needs to be done. And that's all I will say.
Do we want to send that one back to committee?
Mr. Gilbert, is there a problem with that one?
Which one?
215-2025, the Tax Incentive Review.
I believe what Mrs. DeShawn is referring to is the deadline, not anything particularly content-wise, other than that it's not an emergency, if I'm not mistaken. They had a deadline of, I think, 60 days after receipt, and the committee had requested that legislation as a non-emergency.
And it was created as a non-emergency? Because it was requested as a non-emergency?
The legislation was requested as a non-emergency.
Okay.
And the reason it was requested as a non-emergency was because, as Miranda has pointed out, the letter from the Tax Incentive Review Council states, a legislative authority that receives from a Tax Incentive Review Council written recommendations shall, within 60 days after receipt, hold a meeting and vote to accept, reject, or modify. Well, at that time, we had received the letter. Well, the letter was dated March the 20th. The letter was received, according to Miranda, on March the 24th. So when the request was made for it to be a non-emergency, that was with the understanding that the first reading would be held on April 22nd. The second reading would be held on May the 5th. The third reading would be held on May 20th. 60 days from the date that the letter was received would be April 23rd. So we would have been within the time frame. Then when the legislation was prepared for the April 22nd meeting, for whatever reason, it was prepared as an emergency. I don't know why. We didn't request it as an emergency, but that's how it was requested. Unfortunately, at that meeting, because it was decided to move the executive session up from where it was on the agenda, I was not here to address.
Oh, yeah, this is the meeting where you stormed out.
Point of order.
Okay, Mr. Myers, just called a point of order. Mr. Myers, what's your point?
It's a personal attack.
I'm going to rule on that. Mr. Gilbert, please refrain from personally attacking Mrs. DeShawn.
So, to fix this, y'all can just amend it right here on the council floor, add in the emergency, suspend the rules, waive the 3 readings, and pass it right now.
I would like to make that motion.
I'll second that.
You also need to change majority to 2/3.
Okay, like I said, you can amend it.
You said.
All right, so I will state my motion as I would like to have it state in the caption that it is an emergency with the 2/3 vote required, necessary to do so. Doesn't mean amending my amendment request.
Is this time-sensitive legislation?
Yes.
It is now.
I would probably need a second for that amendment.
Zion did.
I did.
Yeah, but I amended it.
No,
to
he
include-
just amended
Oh,
it.
I'm so
He
sorry.
seconded it.
I didn't hear you.
We do have a motion on the floor by Ms. Slater to make changes by amending this resolution, and seconded by Mr. Hickman. Is this something that we could go into a recess, you could get the changes Mr. Gobrick typed, or how much? Okay, after we have the vote, I'd like to go into recess and, so that we can get it in print form back in front of the council members, it's in proper order, so, all in favor of the original motion, say aye.
The original motion.
That was the motion that Mrs. Slater made to amend it, and seconded by Mr. Hickman.
But we're not voting on the legislation yet.
Correct, this is just a.
Right.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it passes. So how long do you think it'd take to fix, Mr. Gilbert?
I don't know.
5 minutes.
5, 10 minutes.
Okay, let's go into a 10-minute recess here at 8:11 p.m. We are back from recess at 8:22 p.m. And we have, before us, we have revised legislation. We're going to need a vote to waive the council rules to bring forth legislation that's been not gone through proper committee. So I'm asking for a motion to waive the council rules.
Second.
Mr. Myers made a motion, Mr. Moritz seconded, all in roll call
We
vote.
have a clarification on suspending or waiving rules. We're doing that solely for this piece of legislation, correct?
The motion on the floor is for a blanket waiving of the rules, just general blanket waiving of the council rules. Roll call vote.
Who made the motion, who seconded? I don't have it.
Mr. Myers made the motion, Mr. Moritz seconded.
Can we amend that to just this? Waive the rules for this specific topic?
You vote no on the motion stated.
You can have another one to amend it, so.
Yes, sir, I will amend it to suspend the rules only for the sole purpose of proposed resolution 215-2025 being brought to the full council floor without properly going through committee.
And I will second it again.
Don't worry, there's already like that much in the rules.
Okay, Mr. Myers made a motion to amend the original motion to only be for waiving of the rules, reference to the 215-2025 coming before council. Mr. Moritz seconded. That can just be a majority, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so now we're back to the first motion, which has been amended to waive the council rules, bringing forth 215-2025. It was amended to be only waiving of the rules for the 215-2025. Roll call vote, please. That original motion was Mr. Myers and Mr. Moritz. Mr. Myers made it, Mr. Moritz seconded.
Hey, could we please just one more time repeat what you said?
Yes, please.
Okay, the vote that was successful prior to right now was an amendment to the original motion, which was to, and the original motion was to waive the council rules, just general blanket. The amendment clarified it to be waiving of the council rules regarding resolution 215-2025 only. And that the original motion, which is still on the floor at this point, but it has been amended, was made by Mr. Myers and seconded by Mr. Moritz, and I am now calling for a roll call vote on it.
Myers?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Hickman?
Yes.
Me.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes. We have waiving of the rules now in effect regarding 215-2025. So we now need to read the caption of this new 215-2025 as amended.
Resolution number 215-2025, it's the TIRC abatements. A resolution hereby accepting the Community Reinvestment Area Tax Abatement Recommendation of the Tax Incentive Review Council, or the TIRC, for period ending December 31st, 2024, and declaring an emergency.
I need a motion to accept that as the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Myers made the motion, Mr. Moritz seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Is there any member of the general public that would like to have input or comment on the amended Resolution 215-2025? Seeing none. Okay, so now we're back to further consideration of pending legislation.
Do ordinance 27 first, or?
That's what I'm going to right now.
Okay.
Okay. For second and third reading of proposed ordinance 27-2025, do I hear a motion to suspend the rules, waive the reading of the caption and text, and declare an emergency?
Point of clarification, was this 215?
15.
This
No, we're not doing that yet. I'm
This
doing it
one's
after this one.
Okay, we're not.
27-2025.
Oh, you're moving it to the
Right.
end,
We're moving
okay.
forward.
Apologies, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Myers had made the motion. I believe Ms. Sherrick seconded.
Myers?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Hickman?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to adopt proposed ordinance 27-2025?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Myers made the motion, Ms. Sherrick seconded.
Myers?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Hickman?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Ordinance 27-2025 is duly adopted. Now we are on to the resolution 215-2025 as amended. Do I hear a motion for the second and third reading of proposed resolution 215-2025 as amended? Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules with reading of the caption and text and declare an emergency?
So moved.
Mr. Myers made the motion. Mr. Hickman seconded.
Myers?
Yes.
Hickman?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to adopt proposed resolution 215-2025 as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Myers made a motion, Mrs. Slater seconded.
Myers?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Hickman?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Resolution 215-2025 is adopted. Okay, now we are at the executive session, ORC 121.22G4, which is regarding collective bargaining.
I would like to make a motion to enter executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 122.22G4.
121.
I was reading it and I probably misread it wrong, so yes, Ohio Revised Code 121.22G4.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Myers has made a motion to go into executive session.
Point of order. Are we supposed to mention who goes into that executive session? Like the safety service director, the mayor, the auditor?
Yeah.
Anytime it's outside of just.
I'll amend my motion to state all elected officials seated behind the railing at this time.
I'll second that motion.
Including the safety service director.
And the safety service director, thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Okay, Mr. Myers has made a motion to amend his original motion, is seconded by Ms. Slater, and that is to include all of those elected officials behind the railing, including the auditor, the mayor, and the safety service director. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call vote for executive
It's an
session.
amendment, it doesn't need to be,
Oh, aye.
it can be,
We're voting on the amendment.
we're voting.
I apologize, aye.
All in favor on the amendment?
Aye.
All opposed? The amendment has passed, so now we're back to the original motion, which has been amended, which is to go into executive session for ORC 121.22G4 with all elected officials on this side of the railing, including the auditor, the mayor, and the safety service director. That motion was made by Mr. Myers. Did you write down who seconded it?
Slater.
Mrs. Slater had seconded it. Now roll call vote, please.
Myers?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Hickman?
Yes.
Me.
Okay, it passes. We're in executive session at 8:31 PM. We are, okay. I
Mr.
need a
President, I'd
motion.
like to
I
make
need
a motion to exit executive session.
I'll second.
Mr. Myers made a motion to come back from executive session. Ms. Sherrick seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Myers?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Hickman?
Yes.
Me.
Yes.
Okay, we're back from executive session at 8:55 PM. And at this point, do we want to make the motion for the recess?
How long?
Did you make the motion?
I said how long for recess?
15-minute recess.
I'll make that motion.
Mrs. Slater has made a motion for a 15-minute recess, is seconded by Mr. Hickman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in recess at 8:56 PM. Back from recess at 9:12 PM. And I will entertain a motion to waive the council rules and introduce a piece of legislation that has not gone through committee.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Hickman made the motion. It was seconded by Mrs. Slater. Roll call vote, please.
Myers?
Yes.
DeShawn?
What was the motion, please?
Motion was to waive the council rules and introduce a piece of legislation that has not gone through committee.
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Sherrick? Hickman?
Yes.
Me.
Yes.
Okay, we have waived the rules and we can introduce a piece of legislation now that has not gone through committee. And we have before us ordinance 25-2025. It's got council as a whole. Read the caption, please.
Proposed ordinance 25-2025. It's the amending and supplementing sections 135.02 and 135.03 entitled Control by Service Safety Director and Powers of Fire Chief, respectively, under Chapter 135 entitled Fire Department, under Title 5 entitled Administrative, under Part 1 entitled Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Bucyrus, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, need a motion to accept as first reading.
So moved.
Mr. Hickman made the motion, Mr. Myers seconded to accept as a first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Anybody want to have public participation on the legislation that's been read for the first time? Seeing none. Further consideration of proposed legislation for the second and third reading of proposed ordinance 25-2025. Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules, waive the reading of the caption and text, and declare an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hickman made the motion, Mr. Moritz seconded.
Hickman?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Sherrick?
No.
Me?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
DeShawn?
No.
Slater?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion did not get the required 6 votes to waive the second and third reading, so it has been held to a first reading. So now we're moving on to the agenda, old and unfinished business. Does anybody have any old and unfinished business?
I do.
Mrs. DeShawn.
At the April 22nd, 2025 council meeting, I voted against the collective approval of the April 1st, 25 regular council meeting minutes and the April 3rd, 24 special council meeting minutes. For the record, I am requesting that tonight's minutes reflect one of the issues I had with the April 1, 25 regular council meeting minutes, which was the roll call vote taken to adopt proposed resolution number 213, 2025, dealing with the state resurfacing project, including State Route 4 and State Route 98. I am also requesting that a notation be placed on the April 1st, 25 approved council minutes to reflect the accurate vote of the members. The minutes recited and aired the following. Sherrick voting yes. Sherrick was in fact absent from that meeting. The minutes recited and aired DeShawn voting yes. I voted no. And there was no mention of Slater, who voted yes. Then I have
So
one.
you just wanting that to be on record?
On record.
You're not asking to change the minutes, just, you want it in these minutes that those minutes were inaccurate, okay? So we
And then
don't-
requesting, and you don't have to, I'm just requesting that a notation be placed on the April 1, 25 council minutes, but, you know, it's a request.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Slater.
I request that we amend the April 1st meeting minutes to reflect the changes requested by Mrs. Deshawn.
Then I have one other,
What, we would need
oh, excuse me.
Is anyone just gonna second? Or-
Okay,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
waiting on a second for Mrs. Slater's motion.
Second.
Mrs. Slater's motion has been seconded by Mr. Myers. All in favor?
So we
Aye.
have discussion.
Is there any discussion?
Were there other changes that need to be made to those minutes?
That was it for April 1st, right?
Pardon?
I'm so sorry, was that it for April 1st?
Yeah, that was for April 1st.
Was there any additional minutes for April 1st?
Excuse me?
That was the only minutes, or only corrections for April 1st, right? The next one was a different meeting, or?
Well, as I stated, for the record, I am requesting tonight's minutes reflect one of the issues I had.
Right.
So there-
That was the only notes you had for April
So were there other
1st?
issues with those minutes prior to us trying to amend them, is what my question was.
For that specific date?
For that specific date?
In my opinion, yes. But this is the one that really concerns me. I mean, voting.
Because I know recently tonight, even I was accused of being here for that meeting twice. When I wasn't, so.
Guess what? You voted yes.
And now I'm voting during a meeting that I'm not at, so.
So,
Any other discussion? We'll continue with the vote to amend those minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
All opposed? The motion passes. Anything else?
one other thing, and this is for transparency purposes. At the April 22nd, 2025 council meeting, President Fankhauser stated the following. Just for the record, Vicki walked out of the executive session and is no longer with us. I'd like that to be recorded in the minutes. Without disclosing confidential information discussed in the executive session, I wish to state for the record and for recording in tonight's minutes why I walked out of executive session. 1, I was concerned with the way the executive session was being conducted. 2, I was concerned with the way the documents were distributed and discussed. And third, an allegation without proof was made against me by Law Director Gobert.
That's fair. You know I can't talk about that. That's incredibly unfair, and it 100% reflected the entire thing.
What's the point?
This arguing, bickering, it doesn't need to happen.
Okay, I'm gonna rule on the point of order, and I'm gonna say that we're gonna go back to, does somebody want to make a motion to amend the minutes that Vicky was talking about and put in there what she talked about?
Oh, no, I'm not asking that. No.
Oh, you don't want to
Oh, no.
amend the minutes?
No, I didn't ask that at all. What I stated will be put in tonight's minutes.
Oh, okay, so we don't even need to.
Oh, no, absolutely not, no.
Okay, so just put what she said in the minutes, Miranda, please. Okay, any other old and unfinished business? I'm gonna move on. Oh, Mr.
You're
Mayor.
asking for new business?
I'm almost there.
Oh, all right.
Almost there. Okay, new business. Okay, now we're there.
I would like to have, refer the contract resolution to the appropriate committee.
Contract resolution
Yeah.
for,
The topic of the executive session.
do we need to state what it was, the specific contract?
Yeah, that's.
IAFF contract?
Yes.
I believe that would go to the Finance Committee. Is that right, Mr. Myers?
Health and safety and finance, probably.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's just refer to both,
Thinking
just
in
to be
years past,
safe.
both committees had their say in it.
Okay. So the mayor's asked to refer
I'll make that motion.
IAFF contract resolution to Health and Safety and Finance Committee. Mr. Myers has made the motion.
I'll second it.
Been seconded by Ms. Sherrick. All in favor?
Can we have some discussion, please? Due to the failure of ordinance number 25-2025, I suggest that we table this until this ordinance is resolved.
A referral could be made and then it could be tabled in committee.
I believe that tabling in the committee might not be the best option, but.
Mr., is there any other discussion? Or we're gonna proceed to vote? All in favor on the referral? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Referral has passed. Additional new business. Has anybody got any additional new business?
I do.
Mrs. DeShawn?
I'm announcing to council and the public that on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025, I will be out of state and therefore I will be absent from the May 20th council meeting.
Okay. That's the 2 weeks from tonight, is that right? Oh, yeah, because tonight's a Monday night, okay. Okay, any other new business?
I have two. For the first one, deals with censure. I'd like to pass the gavel to the President Pro Tem for censure of Kurt Fankhauser.
I don't need the bottom piece. I don't plan to. You got the talking stick.
All right, Mr. Hickman, you have the floor, sir.
On April 23rd, during the Economic Development Committee meeting, after Adam Frizzell had come up and had a discussion about the bed tax, he did make a comment after Kurt had spoke the first time about doing something with the Tourism Bureau. And then Kurt again came up right after and accused Adam Frizzell without any proof of being on drugs. I don't know if it meant that particular meeting or any meetings prior, but it just should not have been said at all. If he was upset with what was said before he started talking about the bed tax, it should have been kept to himself.
Okay, so you are making a motion.
Yes.
And you're motion is requesting
Censure.
censure for the
Censure.
description that you just outlined.
Yes.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Hickman. Is there a second? Going once, going twice, hearing no second, that motion dies on the floor. Your second topic, Mr. Hickman?
I'd like to bring up a motion to reconsider for the 2025.
I was waiting to find out what it referred to. All right, before you get there, I need a motion to return the gavel to the president.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Hickman and a second by Mr. Moritz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Okay, additional new business.
The other new business I have is the motion to reconsider Manpower 2025.
Okay, so that would require two motions. We'd first have to have a motion to bring it back to council floor. That motion can only be made by the prevailing side, which was on the side of the failure of the motion to adopt the legislation originally. So, and then once that was, if that motion passes, then we would have another motion to adopt the legislation. So the prevailing side, the last time this was, the manpower ordinance was brought up, the prevailing side was the vote no side, which was Mr. Myers voted no, Mrs. DeShawn voted no, Mr. Moritz voted no, and Mr. Hickman voted no.
That is correct.
So, is it my understanding, Mr. Hickman, you'd like to make a motion to bring back, do you know what the specific resolution number is?
12-2025.
12-2025.
12-2025 back up for a reconsider vote. Is there a second? Mr. Hickman had made the motion.
One moment, please. I just want to ensure that that is the correct, I vote.
Now, the second, I don't believe requires to be in the prevailing side. I think it's just the person that makes the motion.
No, that's not what, my concern was that I believe when it is one vote and is brought up to the, brought up as if it was being voted on for the first time. I don't think there's two separate motions.
I said there's going to be two separate motions. The first motion is to bring back to have a reconsider vote. And then if that passes, then the next thing that's after that is going to be a motion to adopt legislation, because that legislation had already gone through 3 readings, so it doesn't need anything else other than the motion to adopt.
I'm just checking, I don't,
Mrs. Slater?
my concern is that that's not the proper procedure. Law Director Gobrecht, is it not to come back as basically the motion to reconsider?
It's not going to be a first reading because it's already, it's going to be, if it is vote to be brought back, it's going to be like you went back in time to that last meeting and you're right at where you're at the motion to adopt it again. It doesn't have to go through 3 readings.
Right, correct. It is as if it came back as is.
It's as if we went back in time and we're at that specific time right before it failed.
Okay, to place before the assembly again the question on which the vote has been reconsidered in the exact position it occupied the moment before it was voted on originally. So it's essentially like if we hit the rewind button.
Mrs. Slater, if you're not going to come prepared to the meeting and know how this...
Hey,
That's
the point of order.
I'm just making sure that everyone's on the same page of what is happening. I don't think that asking for
I know
clarification-
exactly what's happening.
That's great. But
And I
I'm
just
just
told you
making
how it's
sure
going to
that
be. What's the
everyone
point,
understands.
Mrs. Sherrick?
This, we don't need this. Let's just keep moving forward.
How about the fact that the law director was asked a question, you let me read the damn book, and I'll give you an answer?
Great idea.
I second that.
this point, we're still at the motion that Mr. Hickman has made.
I'm sorry. I'm on the page. So it's gonna be a three-step process. First step's gonna be make the motion to reconsider, gonna need a second.
Should we do that part
And there
now,
can
or
be
should we-
discussion on that. There
I'm
can
getting
be
there.
discussion on them. Once it's seconded, there can be discussion.
Second, the motion to reconsider is by assembly, either immediately after it's made or some later time. And the second stage, the motion is considered by the assembly, so there's the discussion, and it's not pending at that point. Then, if the motion to reconsider is adopted, the effect is, to the extent practicable, with certain exceptions, place it before the assembly again, the question on which to vote has been reconsidered in the exact position it occupied the moment before it was voted on originally. The original vote is thus canceled, and before any new vote on it is taken, the question is again open for debate, amendment, or any other action appropriate for this case. So, first, second, discussion, vote.
That's what I said.
Then you vote on it, just like you did the first time.
That's what I said.
I don't care which one of you said what, that's the answer. Whichever one of you was right, good job.
Okay, Mr. Hickman has made the motion for a reconsider, to bring back up for reconsider the ordinance 12-2025. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Mrs. Slater has seconded it. Is there any discussion on that?
Mr. President,
Mr. Moritz?
I do, can we get a copy of it again so we can reread it here or have it read again?
Are you not familiar with
I
it?
am familiar with it, but word for word I'm not.
All right, let's go for another recess.
Or let's just pull it up on the email and
So you want to pass it around?
I mean, it's the $4.25 raises.
I just, I'm thinking the last line is what I didn't like on it,
It was 12-2025.
if I remember.
We got this.
And while that's pending, I would just like to state for the record that I believe that was correct. Wasn't disagreeing with you, Mr. Fankhauser. My only concern was I wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page on what was happening. I didn't feel that your description was very detailed, so I was just ensuring that everyone understood the steps that were taken. And making sure we're doing something right. I don't
I
think there's
properly
any problem.
understand the steps.
Well, previously you had not. 'cause it
God.
was-
Okay, knock it off.
Point of order.
Will you stop?
We're still having discussion on the motion to bring back 12-2025 for reconsider.
I've got it in front of me if you'd like me to read the caption.
We don't
We don't
need
need
a
it. I got it
caption
here,
read.
too.
Okay.
It's not part of
He had
it.
asked for that, I'm sorry.
I grabbed it.
And Chris, to your point, I don't know what you don't like, but y'all can amend it on the council floor.
I'd be fine with that because I think one part of it does need amended.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, we're only discussing the motion to
Right, right.
reconsider
Okay.
right now. Motion to bring it back for reconsider.
Which I'm fine with.
Okay, so is there any other discussion on bringing back 12-2025 for reconsider?
Zion, would you like to state why you want it reconsidered?
The basis is because either they get their raise and they just have it, or they don't get their raise, someone sues the city, costs the city more money, and they get it anyway. So it's really, you take it or you don't, and they take it anyway.
Now I'm gonna have discussion on this. I'm gonna have to rebut Mr. Hickman, so I'm gonna pass the gavel to Mr. Myers.
Think you get to.
Yeah.
He can discuss it. It's a motion.
Mr. Myers, have you already discussssed this?
I have not.
Have you put any input on the reconsideration?
I have not.
Were you wanting to?
No,
Just ensuring that you weren't taking your rights away for that.
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Mr. Fankhauser.
Mr. Hickman just stated that the reason that he wants to bring this back for reconsider is that the city is gonna get sued, and then the raises are gonna have to be given anyway. I just want to state for the record, for the whole city to see, I do not believe that. I believe that is some lie that's being perpetuated within this council to get them pay raises for friends of friends.
I don't even know anyone that works with the city. I only know you guys up here. Who am I?
Yeah. Who's pushing this?
Who am I benefiting?
Who's pushing for this?
You don't have to answer.
I'm not answering that.
All right. Is there any further discussion? If not, as I see, Mr. Hickman has made a motion for reconsideration with a second by Ms. Slater. Roll call vote, please.
Myers?
No.
DeShawn?
No.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
No.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Hickman?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
That's 4 yes to 2 no, so that motion passes. So,
4 yes to 3 no's.
It only needs majority.
is that what I said?
Yeah.
Well, you said 2 no's.
Sorry, I was counting them.
Just make sure the minutes reflect it.
That's why I was roll call vote. All right, so then the next step, if you will refresh me one more time.
So the next step.
Motion to adopt.
Going to be a motion to adopt and then more discussion.
All right,
But
so-
first, there needs to be a motion to hand the gavel back.
He deliberated on it, so
No, I only deliberated on that
Right.
specific motion, not the
Motion to
three
return the
motions.
gavel.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Sherrick and a second by Mr. Moritz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt ordinance 12-2025, which is the manpower?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Mr. Hickman made the motion, Ms. Slater seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Moritz, did you have an amendment?
Do what now?
Did you want to amend this?
I wanted to amend that, I don't care for the last sentence in it.
What was this that?
That's where the pay is gonna go back to January 1st of this year. In my opinion, if we're gonna pass this and they get the raises now, they should start now, not just because we passed, asked me at that date, this should be, they shouldn't get the same thing. We're working on this one now, the raises should start now, not January 1st, in my opinion.
Is there
That's a
There's
lot of
nothing
taxpayer
legally-
money out the window for,
I don't think there's anything particularly legally dangerous about that.
Would you be willing to make a motion to amend that?
I'll make a motion to amend that last sentence out.
I offer a suggestion, Mr. President. To make it easier, if this does pass on the payroll department, might you say beginning the first pay period after the 1st of June, or after, the first pay period after a specific date to make it easier? on
First
them?
pay period after this passes, after the ordinance passes.
I will second that amendment.
So what's the next pay period start? What's the?
Next week? No, this Thursday, right?
Okay, so
Saturday. Because we go from Saturday.
Yeah, because we get paid on Fridays, so Saturday.
Would you know-
So
Kaylee?
So roll me back in time to the day that we voted on this the last time, Mr. Gobrick. If somebody at that point in time wants to make a motion to amend, could they have amended it at that time?
yes.
Now, is that gonna require a 2/3 to pass it, because then we would be waiving a second and third reading at that point, because it's not, this legislation is up for third reading then. It's basically changed again, thus requiring waiving of a second and third reading. So it's going to have to be the way it was 2 weeks ago in order.
Yeah, we would need 2/3.
Otherwise
Because we would have to,
2/3.
yeah.
So we would need 2/3 on the adoption, or we'd have to go through the thing and vote to waive the 2/3 and then have another.
So that was really what I was trying to do before. It was, no, we need to have a motion right now. I was thinking we could discuss it prior to, because we brought it back, now can we discuss? Because if there was an amendment like Mr. Moritz is requesting, then that would change the entire thing that we were voting on.
Which
prior
would
to
then
making the
require the
motion.
2/3.
Which would then require the 2/3.
Well, he's only made the motion so far. I don't believe it's been seconded. He's made the motion to amend,
But
but
it's in the middle of one that would have to be negated first.
Mr. Moritz has made a motion to amend it, and it has not been seconded yet.
I would second his amendment.
Amendments are secondary motions, so they can occur within the main motion.
Okay, so Mr. Moritz has made a motion to amend the 12-2025, the specific last line, to make it taking effect at the first pay period after this meeting, seconded by Ms. Sherrick. Roll call vote.
Are we still in discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry, discussion on the amendment.
I just wanted to point out, just for clarification, that I have been consistent with voting no. I voted no on the Ask Me reopener. I voted no against the council clerk raise, and I will remain consistent, and I will be voting no against the manpower.
Okay, we're back to Mr. Moritz having made the motion to amend, seconded by Ms. Sherrick. Now we're going for a roll call vote, unless there's any more discussion.
Only to amend, not to adopt, correct?
Correct, it's only to amend.
Myers?
Yes.
DeShawn?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Moritz?
Yes.
Sherrick?
Yes.
Hickman?
Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Okay, so 12-2025 has been, the manpower has been amended, the last line specifically, so that it doesn't take effect until the first pay period after this meeting. So,
We're still in discussion?
now yeah, there was a motion and a second there was a motion on the floor
Yes, the main motion.
to adopt.
Yes,
Wasn't it?
the main motion, no, no.
So does that amendment negate the motion to adopt?
No, it's a secondary motion,
Secondary motion.
which
But-
means.
But I'm saying, but we have to jump through all the other hoops, don't we now? Doesn't it have to go back to?
Yeah, you're right. We're going to have a vote to waive the second and third reading because it's changed.
That
again.
was my question.
We're going to have a vote to change this,
And-
waive the second and third reading.
An amendment is a secondary
Or is the
motion.
amendment okay to continue on to the adoption? That was my question.
No, because it's substantially different. So you gotta suspend the rules, wait the 3 readings, and pass it as an emergency.
So now you've put yourselves in a situation where you need 6 votes to waive the second and third reading again, and I don't.
I see 7 people sitting here.
It's a subsidiary motion to modify the wording.
Doesn't
Amendment-
matter, statute controls.
Okay, so I need a motion to for the second and third reading,
Two-thirds, so we would only need 5, right?
For the waiving.
3/4. The second and third waiving requires
For the waiving,
3/4.
3/4 the waiver, you're right.
For the second and third reading of proposed ordinance 12-2025 as amended, do I hear a motion to suspend the rules, waive the reading of the caption and text, and declare an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Sherrick has made the motion, Mr. Hickman has seconded.
Sherrick,
Yes.
Hickman,
Yes.
me,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
DeShawn,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Moritz.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. So now do I have a motion to adopt proposed ordinance 12-2025 as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hickman made the motion, it was seconded by Mr. Moritz. Is there any discussion?
I will go along with Vicky's thing. I was 100% against the raises to start out. But after that first AFSCME raise was done, I already saw that we had to do yeses on the others, or else we would be liable for lawsuits, because it's not fair practice at that point in time. So that is the only reason why I changed my votes for these last two, just so you know.
And I would also like to state that I was very consistent as a citizen before I was even elected to this position, that my concern was if we did the 425, and I spoke out, I wrote to the letter to the editor, the issue is that if you give it to one, you have to give it to all. And now we're in a situation where, again, it's unfair labor practice. So it was a problem that started before I was on. However, we have to do the best to be conservators of the citizens' money. And if it comes to a lawsuit, we'd have to have damages, court fees, and the raises on top of that. So for that reason, I am also going to vote yes.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, I'd like to have discussion. I'm going to pass the gavel to Mr. Myers, Pro Tem.
Mr. Fanko.
Before that happens, did you have any discussion on this?
Yeah. All right. I'll let y'all
Okay,
discuss it.
here's where I'm at with this. I still don't believe that we're liable for a lawsuit because people that aren't in a collective bargaining unit have alleged rights against people that got a raise that are in a collective bargaining unit. If they want to be in the same collective bargaining unit, they should unionize or something.
Their specific positions cannot be unionized, which is why it then falls back on the fact that we have to treat them with the same respect that we do the other employees.
Mr. Goldberg, have we been presented case law that backs up this theory?
It's basic principles of labor law.
I do have case law if you would like me to
Now-
find it.
I can reach an hour.
Okay,
So we don't
here's
want that?
here's where I'm at with. I would hope, Aaron, I would hope, for the sake of the city's finances, that you don't vote for this. And if you do, and Mr. Myers is in the same situation, you're both running in contested elections in November. I would hope that the voters vote you out.
So if we don't
I would
vote
hope
for
that they
it,
vote you out.
Somebody call a point of order.
I don't think I can say that.
That's why I said it.
If we don't vote it in and we get
That's- that-
sued, then who do you blame?
That's all lies. It's lies.
All
Who's
right.
coming up with this
Hey,
stuff?
Oh, that is.
All right.
Okay, the grown-up is gonna go ahead and talk. You did us no favors when you decided to talk about how they can leave and not let the door hit them on their ass on the way out or whatever. You made it very clear. You put us in a corner. We have a risk of a lawsuit. I'm telling you about it. If you don't do this, they're probably gonna bring a lawsuit. And if they bring a lawsuit, we're probably not gonna win. But
Who's
You
these
can't-
people? Who's these people?
none of your business.
Well, then where they at?
None of your business.
But you're all making it up.
Point of order.
You're all making it
I got
up.
a point of order.
Point of order.
Ms. Sherrick, your point of order is?
This is unacceptable behavior. This is an attack on people, whether they're here or not.
All right, I'm going to rule in your point, and I rule in favor of your point of order. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, actually, more to the point. you're getting close to retaliation. Please don't do that. You don't need to know who's talking about a lawsuit. You don't need to know who's saying what. You're gonna open the city to potential retaliation issues. So just, for the love of God, just vote so I can go home.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, you have a motion on the floor by Mr. Hickman and a second by Mr. Moritz. Roll call vote, please.
Hickman,
Yes.
Moritz,
Yes.
Sherrick,
Yes.
me,
Yes.
Myers,
No.
DeShawn,
No.
Slater.
Yes.
That motion carries.
And I hope the voters vote her out.
Point of order.
Point of order has been called. Mrs. Slater, your point?
Again, this is not right. This is, again, like as Mr. Gobrick said, this is retaliatory in nature, and it's not pertinent to the matter at hand. And I believe that was the third point of order, was it not? Or was that a second point of order? Okay. I would like that to be noted as the second point of order for being disorderly.
Get out the door without a No, send it back.
All right. Need a motion to return the gavel once again.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're opposed, same.
What referrals do we have?
Transfers for the Waterworks Fund, the Finance, contract resolution for IAFF to Health and Safety and Finance.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Sherrick made the motion to adjourn. It was seconded by Ms. Moritz.
No.
All in favor?
Ms. Slater, I didn't verbally say it, I just raised my hand.
Oh. It was seconded by Ms. Slater?
Yes.
Mrs. Slater, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned at 9:52 PM.